Hey guys, this is Raj Kishan Ghosh from Blenderphile, and today let's talk about the bump node. Now, what the bump node basically does is it gives some fake geometry to our model which can be used to make our 3D models look more detailed than they actually are. So we get awesome details without using too much polygons. To get the bump node, we press Shift A, then Vector, and then Bump. Now the bump map has a normal output which can be connected to the normal input of shaders like the diffuse shader or the glossy shader. Now for the height input, we can give a grayscale texture so that the lighter shades of gray will act as the height and the darker shades of gray will not affect the bump so much. A color of white means a value of 1 for the height, and a color of black means a value of 0 for the height. Instead of a black and white or grayscale texture, we can also use procedural textures or other values. Also, instead of a grayscale texture, if we give a texture having various colors, then the texture will be treated like as if it was converted to a grayscale image. And then the bump node will calculate the values. As we can see, the box looks much more detailed than it was previously. Now for this brick bump, I want the brick parts to be raised instead of the cement part. So I will click on the invert checkbox. What this does is the grayscale image colors are inverted so that blacks are changed into whites, whites are changed into blacks, and darker shades are changed into lighter shades and vice versa. So this looks okay now. Under the invert checkbox, we can also see a strength input and a distance input. Now, using the strength and distance values, we can set how influential the bump map is. So for example, we can make the bumps more prominent or make them more or less raised. People tend to think that the strength and the distance values are more or less the same, but actually there are some differences. Now as we can see, the strength value goes from 0 to 1, whereas for the distance we can give any value. Also, to see the difference, let's look at a demonstration. So what the distance value does is, if we change the distance value, it sets the height of the fake geometry to be implemented, as we can see in the demonstration. For the strength input, instead of influencing the height, it sort of blends between the effect with or without the bump map. So, if we want our bump map to have higher bumps or crevices, we will use the distance value. And if we want to control the intensity of the bump map or the influence of the bump map, we use the strength input. Lastly, the bump map also has a normal input where we can give the output of previous normals, like for example another bump map or a normal map, to add new bumps to the existing one. So let's give a normal input to the bump node. For this, I am using an RGB image containing red, green and blue colors. These type of images are used in the normal map node, which is quite similar to bump node, but it takes red, green and blue colors as input instead of a grayscale image. To use the RGB texture as a normal map, we set the image to non-color data. Now, if we plug the normal output of the normal map to the input of the bump map, we can see that there are bumps caused by the normal map as well as bumps caused by the bump map. So it helps us to add more bumps to our models, which is pretty helpful in some cases. And that's all guys. Hope you liked the video and learned something from it. Don't forget to go to Facebook/Blenderphile for more awesome tutorials, and I will see you guys next time.